Goldie Hawn is a Hollywood icon, but her road to success wasn't always easy. From go-go dancing to jealous ex-husbands, her decades-long rise has been filled with plenty of peaks and valleys. Goldie Hawn grew up surrounded by art and creativity. Her father was a composer, musician, and orchestra leader, while her mother ran her own dance studio. It was her mother's influence that led young Goldie to begin studying ballet when she was just 3. She told Interview magazine, "I was a really good ballerina, a really good dancer. I worked hard from when I was 3 years old." Hawn's dance talent was evident early on. By the time she was 10, she danced in a production of The Nutcracker and continued pursuing dance throughout her teenage years. At age 19, she even began teaching ballet to children. Hawn made her professional debut as a dancer during the New York World's Fair in 1964.
I did the can-can above the bar.
She aspired to perform on Broadway, but that didn't pan out. Instead, she found work as a go-go dancer, putting on a show on tavern tabletops. Hawn told Interview, "When I started go-go dancing on tables for a living, I didn't want to tell my mom or my dad. I made $25 a night, and I was able to make my rent with the 4 girls I lived with. It was a challenge." Eager to move beyond go-go dancing, Hawn headed to Hollywood. She was almost 20 and quickly booked a gig dancing in the chorus for a production of a musical at Anaheim's Melodyland Theater. That led to further gigs in Los Angeles, including her big break.
Agent came up to me and he said, "Gee, do you have an agent?" And I said, "No, I don't." I thought he wanted something else.
Hawn was surprised when she received a call from a major Hollywood talent agency seeking to represent her. She was cast as a series regular in a new sitcom, Good Morning World, which debuted in 1967. Even though the character, a lovably ditzy dancer, was written specifically for Hawn, leaping from chorus girl to TV star fueled her anxiety and led her to experience panic attacks.
And all of a sudden, I'm on television, and my life changed forever, so it was scary.
Fortunately for Hawn, a psychologist helped her conquer those issues. Unfortunately, Good Morning World was canceled after its first season. The cancellation of Good Morning World proved to be a blessing in disguise for Hawn, leaving her free to audition for a new comedy series NBC was putting together. That show, Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, resonated with the counterculture zeitgeist of 1968, and Hawn was a standout. Appearing in a skimpy bikini with groovy phrases painted on her body, Hawn proved to be a star.
That's all the time I have, but maybe in your time zone I haven't finished yet, so stay tuned.
Interestingly, Hawn got the gig not because she'd nailed the audition, but because she'd botched it. She recalled to CBS Sunday Morning, "I missed a word and I went, 'Oh, I'm sorry, could we go back because I missed a word?' And I started laughing because I was so stupid." Laugh-In creator George Schlatter shared a similar recollection in which Hawn was taping an intro and messed it up during an interview with RogerEbert.com. He told the outlet, "The director interrupted her and said to do it again, and I said, 'Don't ever interrupt this woman.' When she read the wrong words, she would laugh, and that laugh, her laughter, paid my mortgage." The success of Laugh-In made Hawn a household name, and opportunities arose. One of these was her first major role in a feature film, co-starring with Walter Matthau in the comedy Cactus Flower. Her character believes her married lover won't leave his wife for the sake of their children, not knowing he has neither a wife nor kids but is lying because he's terrified of commitment. While the role wasn't much of a stretch from her Laugh-In persona, Hawn inhabited it so well that she was nominated for an Oscar and won. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to be there in person to pick up her statue because she was in London at the time filming another movie. For Hawn, it was one of the biggest regrets of her life. She told Variety, "I never got dressed up. I never got to pick up the award. I regret it. It's something that I look back on now and think it would have been so great to be able to have done that." In 1969, the same year that Cactus Flower hit theaters, Hawn married Gus Triconis, an actor, director, and dancer. The marriage didn't last long, though, and they separated in 1973. At the time, neither initiated divorce proceedings, preferring to remain legally married while living completely separate lives. Hawn explained in a 1976 interview with People, "We didn't get divorced because neither of us wanted to remarry." Eventually, she met Bill Hudson, one-third of the musical trio The Hudson Brothers. Hawn and Hudson fell in love and decided to get married, which meant she had to officially divorce Triconis. She filed for divorce only to be blindsided when her ex demanded $75,000 in cash, his half of their community property as stipulated by California divorce law. While waiting for the divorce to be finalized, Hawn became pregnant. She and Hudson married in 1976, weeks before their son Oliver Hudson was born.
I don't know. I mean, maybe we're just not meant to be together.
Hawn and Hudson welcomed a daughter, Kate Hudson, in 1979, but by then their marriage was in shambles. Speaking with Radar Online, Hawn said that she felt her second marriage had failed for the same reason as her first. Neither of her husbands could cope with being married to a woman who was more famous than them. She told the outlet, "The basic problem was that the two men I fell in love with and married just could not cope with the pressure of having a wife who was more successful than they were." Hawn and Hudson separated in 1980. It wasn't until 1982, however, that their divorce was finalized. Afterwards, Hudson's relationship with their two children suffered. Kate told People magazine, "I wanted him in my life, but for complications of life and people and what have you, we had a very, very tough relationship. And so when I was little, I wanted to feel that connection with him, but I never got it." Her brother Oliver joked about his strained relationship with his dad in a Father's Day Instagram post in 2015. In the post, he shared a photo of himself and his sister as kids with their dad, along with the caption, "Happy Abandonment Day."
Change your name to Russell. I'll throw a party for you.
At the same time that Hawn's second marriage was dissolving, she was also in the midst of making her biggest Hollywood success, Private Benjamin. The critically acclaimed 1980 comedy landed her a second Academy Award nomination, while earning nearly $70 million at the box office. What made the film's success even more meaningful for Hawn was the fact that Private Benjamin marked her debut as a producer, reflecting her ambition to wield control behind the camera. Of course, Hawn had already proven herself to be a savvy businesswoman. When she appeared alongside Warren Beatty in Shampoo, she decided to forego a salary and instead negotiated a hefty 7% of the film's net profits. She told People, "It's like Las Vegas, now and then you hit it." She reflected on that period while appearing on the Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend podcast. As she recalled, after Private Benjamin became a blockbuster, she was featured on the cover of Newsweek, accompanied by a headline reading, "Dumb as a Fox." She said, "And what that was, I'd say, was a double-edged sword, because suddenly this person who was perceived one way is now suddenly producing. But then directors, so forth, really felt like I wanted to do my own thing. Everything had to be the way I wanted."
And that's where we get into the glass ceiling, how the people treat you, how they look at you, until you make another hit.
Among Hawn's cinematic output, the World War II-era swing shift is among the most forgettable, but it's arguably one of her most important. It was while making the 1984 movie that she fell in love with her co-star, Kurt Russell. They'd actually met before, back in the late 60s, when both had small roles in the 1966 Disney film The One and Only Genuine Original Family Band. At that time, though, romance was out of the question. During a 2012 appearance on BBC's Desert Island Discs, Hawn said, "I was 21 and he was 16 and I thought he was adorable, but he was much too young." That small age gap was no longer an issue when they reconnected on the Swing Shift set. Russell was immediately smitten. According to him, their first date was a night to remember. Recalling the evening on the talk show Harry, Russell revealed they'd gone dancing and then wound up in a house that Hawn had been renovating. He explained, "We eventually found our way upstairs, looking around at imaginary furniture, and we were in the imaginary bedroom now, and we are realistically having sex. The police walked in because we had to break into the place to get in."
It was a lot of fun, I'll tell you what.
Since that first date, Hawn and Russell have remained a committed couple. In addition to Russell serving as a surrogate father for Hawn's two children from her previous marriage, he and Hawn also welcomed a child of their own, son Wyatt. Wyatt exhibited talent as an athlete and took a keen interest in hockey. By his teens, that talent was evident enough that he was seen as a serious contender for the NHL. To further that goal, Russell and Hawn pulled up stakes and moved to Vancouver, so Wyatt could play at a more serious level than he could in LA. Russell told the Chicago Tribune back in 2003, "There's hockey in Los Angeles, but up here, it's their church." Ultimately, Wyatt's prospective hockey career cratered when he suffered a severe injury. He told Tribune News Services, "My whole right side from my knee to my hip is torn, so I couldn't play anymore." Wyatt decided to join the family business instead. He's now a successful actor. Hawn's experience with anxiety early in her showbiz career and working with a psychologist to treat it left a lasting impression. Meanwhile, over the years, she'd become disillusioned with increasing violence in schools and incidences of child depression. Recognizing there wasn't a concerted effort in place to help kids cope with mental health struggles, she founded her own foundation to do something about it in 2003. The Goldie Hawn Foundation launched with a mission to support children's social, emotional, and educational development by using the latest scientific research. She explained in an interview with the Harvard Business Review. So I brought together neuroscientists, positive psychologists, teachers, and mindfulness practitioners to create a program we call Mind Up. It's designed to help children understand their own neurology, develop mental stability, and reduce stress. During the 4 decades they've been a couple, Hawn and Russell have never felt the need to exchange vows. Hawn revealed during an appearance on British talk show Loose Women that she firmly believes that if they had tied the knot, they'd have split by now.
We've been married before, it didn't work, so why do it again?
Hawn also looked back at her own divorces and the financial toll they took on her.
Marriage ends up being a business deal because at the end of a marriage, no matter how long or short it is, somebody owes somebody money.